Okay, so what could the British East India Company possibly have in common with a modern criminal syndicate? Well, it's not just about power or money. It's about the blueprint, the hidden organizational structure that doesn't just explain how they get so powerful, but also how they're basically built to fail from the start. And that's exactly what we're going to break down.
Because that's the real question, isn't it? Every fortress, every massive organization, no matter how intimidating it seems, has a weak point. And if you can understand that, well, you can understand power itself. So together, let's go find the structural cracks that bring these giants crashing down.
Now, what you're looking at here, these aren't just boring org charts. No way. These are the blueprints for two of the most effective and, ruthless types of organizations in history. Over on the left, you've got the corporate empire, and on the right, a military command structure. Let's dive in.
First up is the empire model. Now, this is the kind of structure you see in a sprawling, multi-headed beast of an organization. It's designed for one thing: to dominate markets and pull in wealth with some pretty ruthless efficiency. The design here is so interesting. You see that classic pyramid, right? At the very top, you've got your CEO, the central command center, and below that, a nice clear hierarchy. But look over at the sides. You see those specialized departments, legal, accounting, public relations? Those are absolutely crucial. They're the pillars holding the whole thing up. And if you want a real-world example, you can't get much better than the East India Company. This thing started as just a small trading venture in London and ballooned into this corporate monster. It became a colonial ruler that basically controlled huge parts of the globe. And just to give you a sense of scale here, get this. At its peak, the East India Company had a private army of 260,000 soldiers. That is more than double the size of the entire official British army at the time. This wasn't just a company. It was a corporate state with its own military force. Wild.
So, what this all boils down to is a model that runs on centralized authority. A board in London calling all the shots. It totally relies on those specialized departments to manage all its complex moving parts. And it projects its power through these regional hubs, kind of like the company's presidencies in India. And the goal? Well, it's singular: dominate and profit.
All right, now for our second blueprint. This is the Legion model, and it's a completely different animal. It's not built for tricky corporate maneuvering. This thing is engineered for pure conquest. We're talking military precision, absolute discipline, and a chain of command that you just do not break. Just look at the structure. It's less of a pyramid and, more like a tree or maybe a lightning bolt. Power flows directly from the top, the director, the boss, straight down through every level to the subordinates. There's no gray area. Orders are given and orders are followed. Period.
And believe me, this isn't some new idea. The historical inspiration for this comes straight from one of the most effective fighting forces in history. Yep, we're talking about Caesar's legions. They operated with this exact kind of rigid, hierarchical structure, and it was perfectly optimized for conquest.
So, for this model, the key features are that rigid, top-down hierarchy, where discipline and loyalty are literally everything. The chain of command is absolute, and the goal is crystal clear: conquer territory, take the resources, and maintain control through sheer force. Okay, so we've seen how these titans are built, but now for the fun part. How do you break them? It's time to switch gears from construction to, demolition.
And here is the fundamental principle, the secret sauce, if you will. The very things that make these organizations so incredibly powerful, they're also the seeds of their own destruction. Their greatest strengths are, in a twist of irony, their greatest vulnerabilities.
So, let's get right into the playbook. How do law enforcement agencies, or even rivals, take down these two totally different kinds of organizations? This table lays it all out beautifully. For the empire model, its big strength is specialization. But guess what? That's also its weakness. Those specialized departments, legal, accounting, they become exposed targets. Now for the Legion model, its strength is that centralized command. But that means the boss becomes a single point of failure. And that means the takedown strategies have to be completely different for each. Let's look at the empire model one more time. You don't attack the CEO head-on, that's just too hard. Instead, you go after the pillars: an audit on the accounting department, a lawsuit targeting the legal team. That can create a paper trail that unravels the entire organization from the inside. You basically cripple its ability to function. Now, for the Legion, the strategy is the exact opposite. You ignore the soldiers on the ground and you focus every single resource on one objective: the boss. It's what you'd call a decapitation strike. You take out the leader, and that super rigid command structure, which depends entirely on that one person, just collapses into chaos.
So ultimately, it all comes down to this one simple truth. Structure defines vulnerability. If you really want to know how to defeat an organization, you have to first understand how it was built. The blueprint for its power is always the map to its destruction.
And that kind of leaves us with one last thought to chew on. Every system, from a massive global corporation all the way down to your local book club, it has a structure, it has a blueprint, and if you look close enough, you'll find the fatal flaw. So the question is, what's the flaw in yours?